we are back. We are Trevorless as of right now. I don't know what happened there. Jerry, can you see us? We have lost Jerry. Yep, we lost Jerry. So Trevor is coming here. We lost Jerry. Jerry's been having some technical difficulties with his stuff. We have already lost him. Trevor is miking up. Jerry's getting back in. I don't think Jerry could see us.
Oh, have you been by yourself?
No, I just started it, and Jerry he came up, froze. Now he's wheel of death. So I'm assuming he couldn't see or hear us. That's why Jerry left. But now we can't see Jerry. Yeah, what a great start to the program here. We're back. This is who we are. We're back.
We're
to our
so
roots.
back.
We're back to our roots. We'll try and figure out what's going on with Jerry down there in the bottom corner. But I mean, there's a lot. So we kind of waited for the Bills-Chiefs game to get over. We had assumed something crazy was going to happen in it, and it was kind of wild. Yeah, we lost Jerry all completely. We have the MLB. Dodgers winning it again. Jerry is trying to enter again. Here he is, the spinning wheel again. I'd really love to have Jerry because I want to hear his thoughts on Hugh Freeze being fired at Auburn. That's like one of his favorite coaches. So it was a tough day.
Yeah, him and Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, it was a tough day.
Oh my God, I got both of you.
Oh,
you're back.
He's here.
He is here. So Jerry is with us. Yeah, everybody's back together. We're coming off of our most. It was professional for about 30 minutes, and then it wasn't. Yep. Jerry, we went a solid 20 minutes talking about NASCAR 25 and trolling people online.
Hell yeah, brother.
It was fun. It was a great time. But
my favorite part about this, we're talking about being a professional program, which we definitely are. I've come in here having a great day. That's all I could say about that. Yeah. And I, for some reason, my lovely computer has decided, what if we just didn't show half the people you're talking to and hope that you could figure out what they're saying?
Yeah. Terrible idea. Wi-Fi.
I guess. I don't know what it is. So, yeah, already I bumped myself out twice. And once we figured it out in the pre-show, I told Caleb and Trevor, I go, hey, just wait until I can't see Caleb or Trevor as I walk into the studio here, or Caleb appears me, I should say. Guess what happens? Can't see either of y'all. Yep, it's perfect. You know what? It's chaotic. It's amazing. It's just like everything we're about to talk about. It has a little bit of everything. You need a little bit of spice in life, all right?
That's right.
No, can't be boring.
The Spice Girls.
It's what makes our show great. It's what makes us different than every other program out there. We roll with punches. A team that's different like every other team out there is the Dodgers. They go back-to-back. They beat the Blue Jays last night 5-4 in 11 innings. Yamamoto, World Series MVP. He had 3 wins in the World Series. 3 out of the 4 were his. Will Smith had the go-ahead homer in the 11th. Miguel Rojas had the tying homer in the 9th. I mean, this game just kind of had a little bit of everything to do in it, and the Dodgers are the first team to repeat since the Yankees in the 90s. That's the last team to do it, and then I think they showed a graphic that they're the first NL team to repeat since the Reds back in the 70s, and that was a big red machine.
I mean, this series gave us, I think, everything you could ask for. Again, a Game 7, whenever, is awesome. We look for them. We hope for them. And we got it. It goes to extra innings. There's drama everywhere. I mean, we're in the bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, guys on base. Toronto hits that ball into the kind of the gap there. And I think it was Rojas, I don't remember off the top of my head, knocks over the other guy to catch this ball. That moment felt like the series in a nutshell. We had controversial calls. Game 6, the ball gets stuck.
Yep.
And stuff like this. This is baseball at its peak. I know we don't talk about baseball that much on the program here, but this is baseball at its finest. But for someone who is, I don't want to say the White Sox are a small market, but a small market team, this is what will fuel the you're not having baseball in 27 conversation.
Yeah.
Right. This moment, but just for taking the moment for what it was to not go into free agency next year, not to go into 2 years from now. It doesn't get better than this. It was awesome. It was 2 teams on different sides of the, not only the world, but, hours apart, major flights. There's 2 very different teams that are built. I couldn't ask for anything more. I wanted the Blue Jays to win, sure, but it was awesome. This was why October baseball is still cool. It's a reminder that baseball is still awesome. And mind you, I get it, the SEC/college football week wasn't fantastic. It was still a good week of football, and this took over everyone. This was the game. You turn to this. It reminds us of why this sport is that awesome in this moment. I keep saying it because I believe it. But shout out to the Dodgers going back to back. This is a roster that's built to do this type of things. But we had the drama we needed. Shohei gave up a 3-run home run. You go through all your starters. You couldn't write it that much better. But now we all go wait for spring training. But luckily, we have tons of sports in between.
Yeah. And dude, my heart was broken for Vladdy Guerrero. That dude played like an absolute gangster all series, but last night, dude, he was electric. And I just love watching him play. Like, he's amazing. Yamamoto is also a dog. Like Caleb said, he had 3 of the 4 wins in this series. He's amazing. I love watching. Just like it's I know we have like, Shohei and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and all that stuff, but to look at a guy like Yamamoto and just be like, that's the World Series MVP, a dude that is just like goes out there and balls all the time.
He pitched the day before too. That's what's
yeah,
crazy.
And dude, he is amazing. I love watching him play. But Jerry, I really do agree with you that this roster was like kind of built to do this. So it was a very good series. That was one of my favorite baseball games I've ever seen. That game was electric, and I love how you said that is baseball. Like, that's why people still, tune in and watch baseball for things like that. It was just drama from the beginning to the end, and yeah, baseball is so back as it's going away, but it's so back, and I love it, and it just makes me excited for next season.
No, it was a good game. We got Creepy Photo. Welcome.
Creepy Photo!
What a World Series. Yeah, I mean,
Amazing.
Look, I honestly think this term or this round of the Dodgers, this organization where they're at right now, is going to be what the Yankees were in the 90s. It's very similar to that, kind of like, oh, we'll just go get this guy. We'll go get this guy. And they have grown up some farm system guys too, kind of like the Yankees back then. They just add to it. Here's a crazy stat. So Will Smith has won the World Series for the last 6 years, a guy named Will Smith. In 2020, it was Will Smith for the Dodgers. 2021, it was Will Smith for the Braves. He's a relief pitcher. He also won in 2022 with the Astros. He won in 2023 with the Rangers, the reliever Will Smith. And then Will Smith of the Dodgers has won 2024 and 2025.
For a second there, I thought you were going to tell me that actor/rapper Will Smith had joined an MLB team.
Nope. And then I think after last night, I think Magic Johnson now has 16 championship rings total as a player or an owner in franchises.
The other favorite little sidebar about this is also the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef playing out in Las Vegas, which is LA's team going against Toronto's team. A lot of fun little storylines. I really do love the Will Smith thing, because then you can make the joke that Will Smith slapped the what out of Toronto. If you really want to go that route, keep the title out of your mouth, I guess is the way you want to go with that.
Look at this guy.
I mean, I guess if we're going to go this way, but it's just, this is what sucks, is that this moment was amazing. The sport still has that juice. I was at a bar watching this game, and the bar's loud. This is a St. Louis bar, no major connections outside maybe Tommy Edman, for the Dodgers at this point, and people still cared. And but the in between getting here to this moment is just a sludge. It's annoying. It's hard to watch baseball games. I kind of thought of this moment as, I hope that the MLB has its NBA moment, where it reminds itself, if you keep putting all these games on these weird channels and all the Bally's and, I think it's like FanDuel now, all these weird separate markets and spots that's hard to watch, that it makes these moments mean that much more. But we shouldn't have to be here. You need more nationally televised moments. You need more nationally televised games. And baseball has that moment every summer. As we sat here at one point and kind of joked around about what content are we going to produce. Nationally televised baseball games could do that, right? Yeah. So you look at this awesome game, this awesome series that had so much drama, all these great moments, two teams going back and forth, every storyline you could think of. It's like, we could be doing this in August. We could be doing this in July. We could be doing this in June, and we're not. So Obviously, we joke around about no baseball in 2027 when the Players Union and the MLB owners kind of go back and forth. But on a sidebar, what a great moment would it be to kind of rewrite the TV deals? And I get it. This is where my mind goes as a guy who works in television. But I hope the sport has this moment where it goes back to its NBC, kind of like NBA is right now with having those NBC broadcasts. Those have been cool.
Yeah.
I know we're not going to talk about the NBA that much, but I don't want to labor this point too much. But like, we need those midweek games that have national television and have some stakes. You bring this in because then it makes these moments even cooler. Let's build this setting because, again, these moments, this series reminds you of how cool this game is, how awesome this game is, the drama you need, and the drama it has, and all the great storylines. The Will Smith 5 years title, right? Clayton Kershaw going out as a champion. Clayton Kershaw coming in a major game and making the one strikeout to end his career.
Yeah,
that's so cool. Like, we've had all these things, but it feels like even the series leading up to it, it's like, well, sure, you can watch this on TNT. What? Like there's so many opportunities and missed opportunities that the MLB should swing at in the future. And it shouldn't come down to just the World Series of being like this reminder that this sport has these great storylines, these great moments, these great stars to do that. So I hope that this is a moment, and in the future we can have more of these moments so that not just like we talk about it, right? But the sports world around us enjoys it because it shouldn't just be the World Series or nothing. This is a great sport, and this type of series reminds you of how cool baseball can be. And this also matters on a Tuesday night when the White Sox play the Dodgers and they steal a game, and that turns into being the wild card game. You could build these moments up, but we haven't in the last couple of years. So I want to bring that back because this sport, like this series, again, reminds me why this sport is so fun to watch, even on TV.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is good. And I think that will happen a little bit, Jerry. I think in the next couple of years with ESPN kind of telling MLB, like, hey, we're kind of done with you. I know they're in talks with NBC. I'm sure Fox will get more involved in things. It seems like NBC is really honing in on sports and live sports, and that's really where money is now in TV. With anything is live sports and kind of doing stuff that way. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see that. But it'll be interesting to see what the ratings are for Game 6 and Game 7. I'm sure big ratings. You also had a whole country of Canada involved, so that really helped it out. It was really a country rally around one team in the Blue Jays, and then you had pretty much an entire country in the U.S. rallying around the Blue Jays as well. To get to that, Lukaku says, "Great World Series. Now we get to watch the Dodgers spend another $5 billion in the offseason." Yeah, it'll be really interesting because I mean, every like high-profile free agent is like, oh, the Dodgers would be interested. It's like, how much more do you need? It's like I feel like all the Japanese guys that come over now and play for the Dodgers. Kyle Tucker's a big free agent. They're like, oh, the Dodgers will be involved. Scooball is like, oh, the Dodgers will be involved. It's like they're involved in everybody. How much more can you get? But the Blue Jays proved that there are tinks in their armor and that they could use help if they need it. So it'll be very interesting. And I will say the Blue Jays were the 5th highest spending payroll in baseball as well. So it was pretty much two of the higher paying teams. Even though we looked at the Blue Jays as an underdog, they did spend a lot of money as well. But overall,
this wasn't that Rays World Series. Remember that World Series where the Rays were in there and I think it was against the Dodgers? I don't remember who. Like, it wasn't that World Series. And that's okay. It was still a cool series of two great teams. But yeah, Lukaku's point kind of just really reminds us again why that negotiation coming up is going to be such a big deal. Is there a salary cap? Is there a salary floor? What does that look like? Because that will really be a hard and painful fight. I don't want to take away from that moment, nor to disrupt your thought, Caleb. But
no, I mean,
look at this moment to think about that.
It's going to be interesting. There's definitely going to be a strike. There's definitely going to be stoppage, and it's how does it get done? And like Luke says, lockout is coming. Yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, so you're going to see a lot of free agents probably sign shorter term deals, maybe 1-year deals, to kind of say okay, and then we'll figure it out from there. But very interesting, good World Series. It was good for baseball. Baseball's won the last 2, I would say, World Series, and last year being Yankees Dodgers. This year going to Game 7 and being very good. And the Dodgers won again, but it kind of the TV ratings show that we kind of like dynasties, and we like teams doing well in sports. So it'd be very interesting to see how that translates. All right, before we get to the firing of another coach, which I called Wednesday when we had a show. I have our picks for this week and how we did or how we didn't do. Jerry was leader in the clubhouse at 4-3. Me and Trevor were 3-4.
What was the swing?
We picked Cal over Virginia.
Hey, JKS is fun. I hate
we
JKS
felt
is
like
fun.
it was gonna be Cal beating Virginia with Virginia flying cross country, a little weird action. Did not happen. So for the season total, Jerry's 33-29, Trevor's 37-37, and I'm 38-36.
Wow.
Every week I come to this as a reminder. Maybe it's fueling me right now that you guys left me out of those early picks because I'm like, what, 29 and 26 or whatever. You guys are mid-30s. This is crazy.
We did have a discussion a couple weeks ago where if your picks were going to count at all because you didn't send us them in time.
I did send one day late.
Yeah, you did. So we discussed.
You can borrow my picks if you want. Again, more fuel, something to prove. STV, baby.
We didn't. So we're giving you have a lead, but we talked about it. And the other news is Nebraska's quarterback Dylan Raiola out for the year with a broken fibula. And then also Nebraska losing last night. They've now lost 29 straight to ranked opponents.
The Raiola news is a big deal. I know we're going to talk about more college football here. It's what we do a lot. But like when you talk about coaching rumors and all these other things, one of the kind of interesting trends I've seen is fan bases picking on coaches that could bring a quarterback. With Raiola being out now, this adds a question mark on if Matt Rule moves to Penn State. I feel like that move was kind of at first the no duh. I don't know if it's still no duh because Matt Rule very much is James Franklining Nebraska, which is win the games you're supposed to, lose the games that you're supposed to, life goes on. That was the James Franklin problem. And as soon as he lost the games that he wasn't supposed to, they fired him. That's kind of, I feel like the whole tenure in a sentence or two. But especially them going to the senior year, Raiola's not a terrible quarterback. I think because he does the Mahomes impression and everything, that everyone's like, oh, what is this guy? He could play. His offensive line has not been great. Lucky coming from a Bears fan who said this about Caleb Williams all last year. But, like, that line has had some problems. That's a big loss, and it's going to be really huge in this coaching cycle because Matt Rule's name might start dwindling. And again, I don't really know where this is going to go. We have more to talk about in a minute, but that's a big injury to keep in mind because if Nebraska craters to 6-6, Matt Rule might just be there. His name might just get picked out of all of those coaching searches because it's like, well, why would we get a 6-6 coach to go to pick location?
Well, and it's also they did give him that FUPA extension with the $15 million buyout or whatever, and Nebraska, if you look at it, it's great. He took them to a bowl game last year for the first time in like 7 years. They ended up winning it. So I think they're still at the point where it's like, if we make it to a bowl game, we're slowly building back up. We're getting there. We're happy with what he's doing. But it's far from what Nebraska football is historically. But, hey, it goes back to you fire a guy in Bo Pelini who you were consistent with, and now you are kind of cursed from there on out. A college that has definitely been cursed, trying to figure it out in the state where the other major program does very, very well. Auburn fired Hugh Freeze today. He had 3 seasons at Auburn, 15-19 overall, 6-16 in the SEC, 4-5 this year, 1-5 in the SEC. I did make a bowl game in his first year, not his second year, but he made it in his first year and they lost. He just couldn't get it going. And another program, another big time program, or what they think is a big time program, is now open, and Hugh Freeze tried to get back into the swing of things. And I looked at his record as a head coach. He was only at Arkansas State 1 year and then got the Ole Miss job and then had like 2 good years at Ole Miss, and that was it. Before that all crumbled. So he's kind of like he's like a mediocre coach. I know Jerry loves him. Jerry is like, this is a sad day for him. But yeah, it's crazy to think when Auburn hired Hugh Freeze, everybody thought, oh, he's going to take it over. He's going to get him to the top. He's going to beat Alabama a couple times. That's what he did at Ole Miss. And it just did not work out.
We're having a really interesting moment in the SEC where a lot of coaches that were hired to be the guy that breaks up the Nick Saban dominance are falling. Brian Kelly was a prime example of this at LSU. Kelly was if you give him all the resources, you give him everything you want, he could take down anybody. Look what he's doing at Notre Dame, and he has to worry about academics, right? He could beat Saban. Now, granted, every time Nick Saban played against a Brian Kelly Notre Dame team, Caleb, you know the answer. I don't mean to hurt you.
Domination.
Yeah, right. Hugh Freeze had his moment with Ole Miss to beat Alabama. There's even jokes about Gus Malzahn. One of the reasons he kept his job as long as Auburn as he did was because he kept it close with Nick Saban, right? Nick Saban's gone, folks.
Yeah, he's retired 2 years ago.
He's sitting here on College game day, eating the food that they put in the spread every week, finally picking Vanderbilt when he's on Vanderbilt's campus. But, he's gone. Will he come back? God knows who. God knows what. God knows the figure. Miss Terry will make that decision.
Mhm.
But these kind of moments, and Hugh Freeze was hired because Auburn's sitting here going, we put up with Brian Harsin. He was an outsider. Brian Harsin, really good at Boise State, right? Built that up real well. But he's not an SEC guy. Neither is Kalen DeBoer right now. Kalen DeBoer came from Washington. But if you can win, you can win. Winning heals all, right? Where do you think that woman is when they were talking about the big jackpot that wanted to pay $60 million to buy him out? Where do you think she is right now? She's going to roll tide. She should be. They're playing real well. But all these coaches were kind of brought in some degree to try to mitigate Nick Saban. Well, now Nick Saban's not there. And a lot of those pieces in that moment is gone. We talked about Brian Kelly last week. That big moment was beating Nick Saban in the regular season. Doesn't matter as much when he's not there and you're not winning. So, and with Hugh Freeze, I also think a lot about Brian Kelly. It's it's hard when you're not as liked. Hugh Freeze came in with a track record. We can talk about the Ole Miss stuff. We all know about that, right? The way he handled his time at Auburn, right? Last week before this game, he was asking for a vote of confidence from his AD. Those are things that are, A, not good signs, but B, don't really get you liked. And most importantly, Hugh Freeze is an offensive coach, right? He's supposed to be a quarterback whisperer. He's supposed to know, he's supposed to score points. This team wasn't scoring points. Jackson Arnold was a miss in the portal. I think that's fair to say. Now, they were benching him. You went up against a Kentucky team that doesn't have a lot going for him. You lost 10-3. Sometimes the writing's on the wall. It's going to be interesting where Auburn goes because you want to talk about messes. I know the LSU headlines are very valid with Governor Landry and all this stuff that's going on and how he's talked about this coaching search. Auburn can get weird too.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Hugh Freeze is in this job is because Auburn got weird. So you want to talk about mess, man, we just dumped a lot more on the floor, and we're hoping one big mop can fix it. I don't know where they go next here because when Harsin was hired, this was Alan Green hired him. We don't really like him. That was the former Michigan State AD that moved to Auburn. Now Hugh Freeze was kind of like the booster pick. It's going to get weird from here on out. The hard part is this is a team, this is a program that expects a national title because they've done it. The Cam Newton year has done a lot of great things for Auburn. It's a lot of bad things for future Auburn coaches. Because after the Gus Bus left town, after they kicked him out of town, going where is next to the highest point, which is beating Alabama, not easy to do, no matter who's there now, as we're starting to learn. And then also going to that national title level, not easy. Gus Malzahn was a good coach. Maybe we should start admitting that a little bit more. Auburn's a place you can win because they did it, but getting to doing it is not that easy. But I think with Hugh Freeze, it was kind of writings on the wall. And most importantly, you have an offensive coach who wasn't scoring. Sometimes if you just put that sentence in the air, that gets you fired. So here we go. The SEC alone has some great offers and great jobs open, and that's not all.
No, real quickly, I know Trevor has a lot of stuff when it comes to the coaching openings. I had a question, and Trevor kind of has an answer for it. Taxpayers eating some money this year. Yeah, I mean, Hugh Freeze is 15.8, but I don't think taxpayers will have to pay the Auburn one as much.
No.
The LSU one is messy to begin with. That's really taxpayer-driven per the governor, but he said some things where it's like, okay.
Can I dispel some rumors, Caleb? I hate to break you up again.
No.
Taxpayers aren't paying for this. Let's
not
abundantly clear. I get it. The governor said that, and from Louisiana's governor was kind of putting that out there. Louisiana's governor is doing this to win some political points.
Yeah.
They ain't paying the buyout.
No.
Nobody's money from the state of Alabama is directly paying for Hugh Freeze to be fired. When these firings happen, what they mostly look like is usually the athletic director is figuring out the funds from boosters to make the firing happen. Prime example of this is honestly Billy Napier, which was fired. He was fired after a win. Why? Because you already know Scott Strickland was working behind the doors, working with some of these donors saying, hey, we're thinking about getting rid of him, but I need to make sure I have this money. Now, a lot of these also with these firings comes the fact that how the contract's written. Very few contracts are like Jimbo Fisher's. Jimbo Fisher's a prime example of this because Jimbo Fisher got all his money in full. A lot of these are written to where you pay X amount up front, maybe 6 or 7 million. Hugh Freeze, I think he says 18.5. So maybe they're paying 9 million up front, about half. Then you disperse those payments. Now, if you're in Auburn's case where you're already paying off Brian Harsin slowly, and then you have to add in Hugh Freeze, not cheap, but it's not coming from your taxes, nor is it coming from the student enrollment, or the tuitions.
Yeah.
None of this is going that way. I promise you, if any taxpayer money was going towards these buyouts, they would not exist. But they don't. This is big-time donors making big-time decisions. And one thing we're learning in this coaching cycle specifically is that it is more lucrative to fire your coach with big buyout than go another season of mediocrity, especially if those big boosters who would pay initial buyout don't give you another big donation to keep athletic department above float or at float. So it's a really real world we live in with that in mind and with this coaching search that we've had going on. But no, this is not falling on the Alabama taxpayer. And the Alabama fans know this. Louisiana State fans, state Louisiana folks know this. But it's easy to say when you see the big $50 million thing for Brian Kelly is, man, the taxpayer's getting screwed.
Yeah.
No, they're not. A single dollar is not going to the coach's buyout. Let's be very clear about that.
The other thing, too, is Florida was one of those where the boosters basically said, you either fire him or we're done paying for the program, is basically what happened there. And so, of course, the athletic director agreed, and the boosters paid out. Creepy Photos says, thank you for the clarification, Jerry. This goes to now we have 4 prime jobs in the SEC open. Kent State did get filled. They took the interim tag off of their coach currently, and now we're open. And so I had a question of, is this the year with the most percentage of head coaching openings? I looked on ChatGPT, and it said 2012, 2013 was the most, but Trevor has found some more interesting. He's dug deep on the internet.
I have. So this comes from a subreddit called CFB, College Football, for those of you that aren't in the know. And it is posted by a person by the name of OG Smurf 826. So thank you, the original Gangster Smurf. Thank you for this. So OG Smurf says, seen a lot of people ask, and have this many coaches ever been fired this early in the season before, and decided to put together a quick table of it. So I won't go through the table, but this is something that OG Smurf does say. This season has the records for most coaches fired in September, before October, in October, and before November. And for the record, this only goes back to about 2010. So this isn't encompassing, the entire history of college football, but I would say in a modern era, I would say
15 years is perfect. 20.
Yeah. So there have been seasons like this November 16, 30 slot. In 2018, 9 coaches were fired. But I will say this season has a lot of ties for the most. The thing that separates this season is that there aren't any other seasons that have tied for the most as much as this season. So in the slot of October 16th to the 31st, 3 coaches were fired. 3 coaches were fired in that same slot last year. But if we look back one more, there's also 3 coaches fired from October 1st, October 15th. Now that's tied again for the most, but as you can see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yes, statistically, more coaches have been fired in this time frame that we have gone through than any other in the last 15 years. Now that can change. That Thanksgiving weekend is really, really rough for a lot of college football coaches. Maybe some of the in-house cleaning is done by then, so maybe we won't see as many coaches being fired then. There are some seasons where 8 or 9 coaches get fired in that time period. Maybe we don't see that. But yes, statistically, this season is kind of an anomaly when it comes to coaches getting fired so early.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. And I know the Maryland's coach Mike Loxley there's reports he's been fired, but not officially. Creepy photo says, Trevor, thank you for spitting the knowledge on this. Good man. Yeah. So I mean, I think there's gonna be more coaches fired. There'll probably be a coach fired next week. That's where I'm at with it. Is every week there's gonna be another coach. It's just gonna be how high profile of coaches. Hugh Freeze was kind of we kind of saw it coming. I know South Carolina just fired their offensive coordinator, so you kind of know what that means. Is like, hey, is the head coach next? So yeah, I mean, it is crazy to think that this year there's a lot more, and the patience is wearing thin, and the money from the boosters are running these athletic departments at this point. I mean, they are the ones making the calls, saying, hey, let's do this, let's not do this. Let's go after
I
this
have a
let's do
question for you
everything.
guys though.
Mhm.
Do you think that this can be like something we see in other sports?
No. And
Yeah.
I'll explain why.
No,
This is
I don't.
extremely college football.
Yeah.
And it's only extremely college football because of the factors that are causing these firings. The reason we have so many openings so early, and especially so high profile so early, is that the calendar has changed. So I think to you guys' point, I think Trevor said this, like we may not see as many firings in November. I agree, because the transfer portal will be almost open by then.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, the transfer portal opens now. I think it's either December or January for like a 15-day period, and it's done. With all the factors in mind between NIL deals and especially the transfer portal, getting rid of your coach early is a benefit because you want to coach in earlier. So we're basically speeding up when you can fire to when you can hire. And I think that's what's causing that statistical anomaly in terms of why we're having such a high rate. This is going to become more normal because the college football world is reacting to the college football rules. When you didn't have to worry as much about transfer portal or guys committing, decommitting, etc., you could fire later. You could wait a little bit. But just for example, we kind of talked about Florida State or maybe like a Wisconsin. If they wait too long, it might not be beneficial to get rid of a coach in December if the transfer portal is wide open because you're searching for a head coach. Your team goes into the portal, pick X amount of kids, go into the portal, right? And then you don't have a coach in line trying to rebuild rosters. So this is just the college football world reacting to the rules it's set upon. So as these things kind of change, as they kind of figure themselves out, this is where this happens. Now, what's going to get real messy and real murky is when we get to the December, when we get near the transfer portal time, which is still during, if I remember correctly, the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Is you're going to have these teams and you have these coaches that are sitting here in high profile positions. Like, let's just say, what if South Florida becomes the 12th playoff team? You have Alex Golish, who is a hot candidate right now. Does he leave that job to go to a way bigger job? Let's say he goes upstate, he goes to Florida, right? Like, or if you're Florida, do you wait for a guy like that when you could hire somebody else and you could start getting work done early? It's just kind of accelerating the timeline because of this big roster change in how rosters are built. With now not a second portal window, that first portal window is that much bigger too. So the stats make sense because the rules have changed to make them make sense. But I don't think like baseball MLB coaches aren't going to get fired 50 games in just because, unless it's a team that's supposed to have high expectations, etc. But we're not going to have the NFL even is not going to have a coaching carousel of 8 to 12 coaches done before X amount of time because it doesn't matter when you fire your head football coach in the NFL. The roster building, all that stuff stays the same. But this sport is rapidly evolving, which means now the firings and everything else that comes with it evolves. Now, this level of high-profile job, and all this reminds me of a couple of years ago. I think that's where this cycle is even more different, is that you have a lot of high-profile jobs and not tons of qualified candidates. And that's what's going to make who goes where so much more interesting, and also who's hiring. Like we talked about a lot with LSU. Who's making that hire? Well, now that that's Scott Woodward's not.
Yeah,
right?
he's not.
The AD's gone. That changes the calculus on Florida, Auburn, Penn State, Arkansas, and shit, maybe even Stanford. Sorry, children's program.
Child's program, Jerry.
Or even Virginia Tech. Like there's now those dominoes change that much more because if you're going for Lane Kiffin, well, if Florida gets him, Well, if you're LSU, now you might drop to a Drinkwitz, right? Or you might go for pick whoever, whatever. Whenever James Franklin decides to coach somewhere again, well, now the other places might start sprinting to get a job because, oh my God, James Franklin's gone. We need to get our guy. So it's all coming earlier so that these guys have a chance to build their rosters. It's a long way of saying that. And I'm really glad you brought those stats in, Trevor, because that kind of really brings that point home of how the college football world is looking at how you build a college football team. And those stats kind of tell that point even better.
Well, and we've also seen in other sports now, the NFL is kind of one of those things where they've talked about, it's like, we're not going to fire our coach if we're terrible because we don't want the interim guy to come in and be great and we have to give that guy the job. And then we kind of screw ourselves over in the long run when we could go get a clean slate start and maybe get the guy we really want compared to this interim that we have to hire in. Where college football, they don't care. Very rarely does the interim guy get the job, unlike Kent State. So you have these. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably not going to happen. And also you have in other sports, these owners are not going to want to shell out the money for some of these contracts to buy them out unless you're horrific. Matt Rule at the Panthers, it was just horrific that he had to move on from there. But, yeah, I mean, I don't see it happening too much in other sports, but college football there's no rules, there's no parameters. These boosters can do whatever they want, basically.
So what I was kind of referring to, and this could be stupid, is like, will college basketball coaches have a shorter leash? I don't know when their transfer portal, I don't know how any of that works. But is that like something that'll happen, university wide as opposed to like professional sports?
Maybe. Again, it kind of I think depends on the rules. And the other thing with college football is there's so much money involved here.
Yeah.
That if you're a mid-tier college football program, if you're Virginia Tech, you have a couple good years, that makes you 10s, 20, 30, 40 million. You go to the NCAA tournament for a year or two as Virginia Tech, you might make 5 or 10.
Yeah.
So I think that also adds on to it is that as much as we talk about this sport professionally in some degree, right, there's still a lot of amateur athletic figures involved here. And as much as I hate to admit it, as a college basketball guy, I love college basketball. It's what I grew up on more than even college football. College football makes the money. Like, let's look at Duke. And I don't want to go too on. Duke's getting good at football. Trust me, they're going to start putting more money in football. There's a reason they have Manny Diaz. There's a reason they have their quarterback that they do. Because even with being the elite program that brings guys in, gets top 5 picks, that football success is just that much. Look at Indiana. Look at all these places that are historic college basketball, like great places that are putting a lot of money into football. I mean, UNC hired Bill Belichick for a reason. They wanted that football money. They want that football success because you get a lick of that. One, it's intoxicating, and two, it is lucrative.
Yeah.
Out of all the other sports, but it also causes this level of chaos. And I don't know with other sports as much, especially on the collegiate level, you might have a little bit of it, but it's not going to be the same. Nor do I think it's going to be that high profile.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be interesting. It's unknown right now in college sports with whatever and however things are going to happen. All right, Luke Cox asks, what will be more of a high-profile job, MSU or Maryland? Neither job's open, so we're not going to discuss that. Riley says, can't wait for Wednesday, fellas. Can't wait for you either, Riley. We will discuss that a little bit more towards the end of what you could see coming up Wednesday. And Luke says, Riley, heard you're eating 30 fish fillets. He's not eating 30 fish fillets, but he is eating a lot of McDonald's coming up on Wednesday. All right, we had quite a few upsets. One really irritates me to my core, and that is this first one. SMU beats number 10 Miami in overtime, 26-20. Miami is 4-8 in November under Mario Cristobal.
I fell for the Mario trap. I fell for it.
Let that sink in. Miami is awful. Carson Beck is a douchebag. And I hate everything about them.
Dude.
Everything about them irritates me as a Notre Dame fan. You had one job to do. And I guarantee that they'll probably lose another game.
Are you upset because this is making the Notre Dame loss look worse and worse?
No, it's making me upset because they go so hard for that goddamn Notre Dame game, Child's program. They put everything into it. The stands are filled, like everything that they have, all the emotion into that game. And we walk in there and lose by 3 points with a freshman quarterback. And looking back now, if we played them, other than the Boston College game, I think we beat them 10 times out of 10. And that's what irritates me.
Yeah, I would say like the vibes for this game weren't good during the game and were really not good after the game. There's a video of Mario Cristobal and the offense coordinator yelling at each other, arguing. Obviously, that happens on every sideline ever. But when you are kind of collapsing as a football team, as a football program, it doesn't look great. And the Carson Beck video that I sent you guys is also apparently straight up the Carson Beck alley, which I was not too familiar with.
No, he did the same thing after the Louisville game, and he did that at Georgia like all the time.
Yeah, that's what I heard is that this was a big thing he did in Georgia. So basically saying that he just runs the plays that are called, and it kind of takes no accountability for what happened on the football field. So this is kind of like this football season has been so weird because, as Jerry said, he fell for the crystal ball Kool-Aid, and a lot of us did. Like you could say, when was the Louisville loss? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
3 weeks ago, yeah.
4 or 5 weeks ago, if you would have told us that Miami will have 2 losses and neither of those teams will be was Louisville ranked?
No.
No. So neither of those teams will be ranked. We would have called you liars and deceivers. But here we are, and it is true. And now Miami is kind of out of the college football playoff. And Virginia may win the ACC. I don't know. Everything is so weird, and college football is weird, and that's why we love it.
It's just a frustrating loss, I think, for people like I would say logical folk because that's not fair, but like all logic points to the fact that Miami has a great offensive line, a great defensive line, and that can win you so many games. And then they find ways to squander it. But yeah, we got Cristobal. I am the first to admit it. I was full in on Miami. The way they played, especially on the lines, I'm like, oh, this team can't lose. Carson Beck's in there. You can eat a sandwich and throw a check down. And nope, here we are. Shout out to SMU. You want to talk about a coach that's going to get a lot of burn. Because one of the things I keep in mind with these two is that when we talk about not having tons of qualified candidates in the coaching world, it really matters when you win or lose. Brett Lashley beating up on Miami and keeping that game close and then winning it in overtime. Hi, Arkansas. I hope you like Fayetteville because they're going to be talking to you. Yeah. Coaches that won't be as much in the discussion right now, but one still should be in my mind. We can go to West Virginia, Houston. Big win for West Virginia. They are playing a really good spoiler this year. You go into the backyard brawl, you win that game. And then you come here against the Houston team that 7-1 at this point. Willie Fritz, good football coach. Still think he's a good football coach after this loss. But you come in here, Houston's finally kind of getting talked about. Hey, 7-1, look at this team. You come in here, you beat them, and it's not just that you beat them, you beat them. It wasn't like you kind of got lucky. No, they played better. Like this Houston team had to try to climb back all game, and they didn't. So shout out to West Virginia for this one. The Big 12, still weird, shocker to everybody here. But, this is one of those things where I look at both, especially for Houston, like Willie Fritz is already kind of over-exceeding. So it's good to – I don't say it's good to lose, but, like, this is really possible in this type of moment. But it reminds you how quick up you can go up the ladder in Big 12 and how quickly you can drop down the ladder. Because just like that, probably like 4 standings change in between this game or not.
Yeah, Rich Rod back at West Virginia helps West Virginia big time. He understands it. It's a culture thing. We lost Jerry again.
Oh, no.
Which is, this is just going to happen. I feel like it's just not Jerry's night. Technical difficulties happen. West Virginia beating Houston. Houston, was one of those teams we looked at and said maybe in the Big 12, it's now by Houston. I think the more shocking one is the NC State beating Georgia Tech, as a guy that watched NC State in person, and they were awful. And I mean awful. And to see them score 48 on Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and I was going to kind of ask you and Jerry this. I believe Jerry is taking a whiz. I think that's what's happening right now. He did the polite thing. He muted himself, or he didn't mute himself, but he, I know some of us have had some emergency bathroom situations in the past. We don't need to point to anyone specifically, but some of us may just leave our camera on and disappear.
Disappear, yeah, of course.
So that happens. But what I was going to ask you and Jerry, maybe when he comes back after his whiz, I'm kind of trying to kill time here so I can ask this question. But I will just move on with my question. Do you think? How much do you think that this impacts Brent Key's like stock as we talk about this coach carousel stuff? Do you think this really hurts him badly? They are still just a one-loss team, but like you said, North Carolina State isn't exactly on everyone's radar for world eaters.
I would say no because it's Georgia Tech. So the thought process is like, wow, that he got them to the top 10 or got them to 8-0. I think is looked at and said, wow. The problem with him, and I think what hurts his stock is kind of like Clark Lee's stock, is I'm pretty sure he's a Georgia Tech alumnus.
Mm,
So he's coaching at his school. But I mean, I just saw ESPN posted him as one of the top 5 candidates for Auburn's job.
yeah.
I know people have talked about if the Michigan State job were to come open, the AD is a former. He was at Georgia Tech before he went to Michigan State, so it's like, does he go up north to Michigan State? I don't think it hurts his stock because you look at it and say, oh, it's Georgia Tech. What he's done there is remarkable. He's got the quarterback. He's kind of been able to build the program out, and now it's in the ACC. We look at how wild the ACC is. Jerry's now back. We look at everything and we go, wow, it's crazy. So I don't think it hurts his stock just because, I mean, I think there are some coaches at certain schools where it's just viewed as they're just overachieving regardless
Yeah.
if they win 8 or 9 games. I mean, they're 8-1 right now. So, I mean, he wins one more game. They play Boston College next week, and it's 2 weeks from now. It's like, whoa, you have 9 wins at Georgia Tech. That's very, very good. So, no, I think if this happens when they're like 5-0, hurts his stock, but them being 8-0, I don't think it necessarily hurts his stock.
Georgia Tech got Dave Doran, baby. Happens to the best of us. Dave Doran's going to find a way to be above 500. Barely. God intended. Yeah, no, Brent Key's fine. This is a team that was kind of hashtag getting away with it. They should have lost at Duke. Duke couldn't figure it out in the red zone. But it was fun while it lasted. And to Caleb's point, it's not going to hurt Brent Key's stock if he wants to. Brent Key is way overexceeded. Brent Key is supposed to be a bridge coach to whoever was supposed to coach Georgia Tech next. And he's done this. So, loss is a loss. Big one for NC State. What really hurts is NC State beat Virginia, but we don't care about that because it didn't happen technically in conference. You want to talk about a win that feels like nothing, even though it's something. It's that type of win. God, that still befuddles me to this day.
Yeah. And Caleb, 1 to 10 SMU's running onto the field after the game.
I mean, it's Miami and your SMU, so I mean,
SMU was ranked to start the season.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they made the playoff last year, but they're still a team where it's like in Texas, you still like when you get, it's like they're like the 3rd or 4th team, maybe even the 5th team you think about when it comes to the state of Texas. So against the top 10 Miami team, I don't mind running on the field. I don't think they had to break the goalpost.
Yeah.
I think that's top 5, top 3 opponent beating there. But hey, have fun.
Right,
It's gonna be. They're gonna have to pay a fine. So
1 out of 10.
Whatever.
What do you give it?
I'll give it a 6.
Okay, Jerry, do you agree?
I'm fine with the ranking. I have a different question, and then we can move on to the games. What do we think of this game being called the Snow Bowl?
I mean, it's
think about it, Trevor. Think about it.
Bad. It's not bad, especially what is this historic thing?
It snows in Miami. God, it snows at SMU.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, yes, I like this as the Snow Bowl. I know whatever you name that. I care about that more than who storms the field. Is this? The energy in that crowd might have been a little bit higher than we expected.
Hey, you never know. It's a Texas oil money.
Wait, is SMU known for a lot of cocaine?
Welcome to down south, my friend.
Yeah,
that's cocaine with money. That's good cocaine.
They had the death penalty at one time. Those guys are wacky down there, man. They get into every little thing.
Southern Methodist, baby. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, what do you got to do?
Snow Bowl, great name.
No, I do like the name, Jerry. It's just like when I tried to name BYU Utah, the soaking game.
Yes.
No, that's the Holy War. Sorry.
No, soaking bowls. All right, some other games before we get into the 2 games we're going to talk about more. Notre Dame wins sloppy over Boston College 25-10. Per Marcus Freeman, if you have 3 kickers, you don't have 1 kicker. True. Ohio State rolled Penn State 38-14. Georgia holds off Florida 24-20. Texas Tech defeats Kansas State 43-20. Virginia, they're still rolling. 31-20 win over Cal. Utah dominated Cincinnati 45-14. And then USC gets past Nebraska 21-17. I mean, some good games. Nothing too crazy, I would say, wild. But Florida fought against Georgia, and it showed that, I think that helps if you're the next coach coming in. If you can keep some of those guys in the roster, it's like you could probably have a decent little team there.
All right. Trivia time before we move on to the games. Who's the QB coach right now at the University of Florida? You'll laugh at it.
Tebow.
Close, but no.
Is it Rex Grossman?
What have I told you? Steve Spurrier is on the sidelines right now.
Really?
Steve Spurrier Jr. is the quarterback's coach right now for the University of Florida. Do you want to save a lot of money right now, Florida?
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about Ron DeSantis, but hey, if you really want to get into state politics, you have no university president either. You have an opportunity. You want to do the funniest thing possible? You want the next Steve Spurrier? I've got good news for you. Yeah,
well,
Steve Spurrier Jr., QB coach right now.
There were
DJ Legway, look good.
There were talks about Tim Tebow maybe taking over the program.
Amen.
As just a guy to just take over the program with no head coaching experience and just kind of build the aura of what Florida football is. I think it'd be a disaster.
Hey, nothing says Florida football like John 3:16 as your play call.
Hey, you might as well. I mean,
Amen.
It worked back in the day. I mean, but the problem is Tim Tebow cannot get on the field and play, so I don't think he'd be a great coach. As a big Tim Tebow fan. All right, moving on to this was kind of a playoff eliminator. A couple stages here. Oklahoma defeats Tennessee 33-27. Tennessee went with the blackout. Their entrance looked really, really cool, I will say. But they just couldn't get it done. And I would say bye to the playoffs for the Tennessee Volunteers.
Dude, winning in Neyland is hard. I want to make that abundantly clear. This is a big-time win for Oklahoma. They kind of went back and forth. This is an ugly, weird game. But what a win for Oklahoma. Just look like overall the better team. That's hard to do. Like, Caleb, I really appreciate you bringing up, like, how cool the entrance and everything looked. Neyland was rocking. This is a night game. These are the types of things that, people joked about, like, oh, when Texas and Oklahoma show up, or what are they going to do when they can't go to Baylor for a week, or TCU. You go to Tennessee, you come out here, you have everything against you, and you come out and win this game. It wasn't ugly. It was ugly. It wasn't pretty. But this is one of those reminders that Oklahoma's legit. It's hard to kind of see them. They're still in the playoff right now, but they have their flaws, but they also have their strengths. But not all these wins are pretty. Not all these wins are going to look great on the resume, but a W looks way better than a loss. So playoff eliminator, I think, is a great way to describe this. Tennessee kind of got away with it last year, in my mind. Their SEC schedule in comparison wasn't crazy, but they also had a chance here. It's hard to win in these types of places. This is the peak, I want to say the peak SEC environment, but one of them. So to walk in here and to be the better team overall, not just win this game, says a lot about Oklahoma, even if the score tells you that it was a very close game. I think Oklahoma looked better 90% of it.
Yeah, and I think this is a good win for Oklahoma. I mean, a great win for Oklahoma. But I would say too, like Oklahoma still has, a bit of a road ahead.
Their schedule's tough, dude.
Yeah, they got Alabama, then Missouri. That's what I was doing. I was looking up their schedule, Nolan. They have Alabama next, or I don't know if they have a bye, but next week, and then they have Missouri, Jerry's Missouri, and then they have LSU to finish off the season. So it gets weird. It gets a little weird. An LSU win at the end of the season would be hilarious. But Missouri could be tricky, and Alabama is probably going to wipe the floor with them. But if they beat Alabama, they look like a really good team, a really, 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 really good team. So I'm interested to see what Oklahoma has to do the rest of the season.
No, I mean they have a defense, which I think really that helps them the most. John Mateer is slowly getting back from the hand injury. His legs were Very good for him, 80 yards, a touchdown. They had 192 yards rushing as a team, which I think that's the way Oklahoma wants to play. It kind of goes back to, I know we think of Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley and how the offenses were wild and everything, but Brett Venables is more of a Bob Stoops Oklahoma, where it's like, hey, we're going to have a great defense, great offensive line. Our running backs are going to be crazy. We'll have good quarterbacks, but we're going to play complementary football, whatever that word is. And we're kind of going to be balanced out and kind of be more physical. And it's taken time to build it up, but it's slowly working for Oklahoma. But yeah, I mean, the schedule's tough. I mean, they're sitting now, right? What are they? 7-2. They could finish season 7-5 very easily. I mean, that's just where it's at. So it is good to see though that they're in it still. They're kind of fighting still, and we'll see coming up of like how they could be. But yeah, I mean it's built off of defense. It's Brent Venables defense, run the ball, and do what you can. But yeah, to Jerry's point, going into Tennessee is a very tough place to play, as they're screaming Rocky Top or whatever the hell they sing down there, and you go in and win. But hey, a win is a win. You'll take it. All right, moving on to now Texas. Texas is back, guys. I think they're back. I think they're showing why they were number one in the country. They beat the Vanderbilt Commodores 34-31. Arch Manning, this is who we thought he was. I mean, they showed him before he ran out in the field. He like got in the camera's face and like screaming at it. He was like unhinged. I mean, he's got a little emotion underneath
I
him
would say,
there.
is that the most emotion we've ever seen from a Manning?
I think so. He was like crazy. Like got in the face. And he was like, yeah, like a couple of F bombs.
Could you imagine like Eli Manning doing that?
No, I just imagine Eli Manning on the sidelines, mouth open, just being
Yeah.
like, what just happened? Like,
throw,
what?
throw a touchdown.
But no, I mean, Arch looked good, man. He looked good.
This game was not 34-31 close either.
No.
This fourth quarter, Vandy tried to do let's see if we could just make this interesting. Good for Vegas, I guess. I don't know what the spread was. I don't look at that type of stuff. But I'm guessing it helped the spread in some degree. I don't know how to feel about Texas. I really still don't. Arch is starting to figure it out, which is a good thing, because Arch was billed as like basically Jesus Christ but football version, and now we're starting to realize that like maybe those were a little high expectations. But this is a team that Texas is supposed to beat, in theory, right? It kind of felt funny because Vanderbilt this year has just been the team that's like, we don't make tons of sense, but if you really think about us, we make sense. Very Vanderbilt-esque in some way. But Texas is like, we have 5 stars, you have 3s. Like, that's kind of how this game played out. It's just that Texas looks like the better team. It is honestly also what, for a lot of programs, especially like in LSU, is what makes this year so frustrating for people who've lost to Vanderbilt. Not even like a Missouri. Yes, I'm frustrated in its own right, but no. But like, Texas has all this talent, and they looked like the more talented team. They looked like the better team. They played like the better team. They won because they were the better team. And sometimes it's just that simple. But when you have a team like Vanderbilt that's pulled out all the tricks successfully, you have a quarterback that I think is very good, at least at the college level. I'm not trying to make Diego Pavia the first overall pick, but like, he knows what he's doing, and that offense runs through him. Like, he is very much like the point guard of that offense, even more than some other quarterbacks in the SEC or college football. But Texas looked better all game. And if Arch starts figuring it out, all the other things around him look less like a problem. The offensive line, the fact that they're going through running backs, all those things kind of become more minute if you have a guy who can put the ball where it needs to be. It's sometimes just that simple. But if they start figuring it out and they keep going on, God, that Texas A&M game could be insane.
Massive.
That game's already nuts. Like, that game has so much vitriol and frustration and anger. Remember, A&M literally left this conference, left this rivalry behind. It comes back, right? Like, and this is an A&M team, at least in my mind, that has so much talent and could be that next level. And you have Texas starting to figure it out. Oh, man, I love this sport for this reason. That could be awesome, but I don't want to get myself too far. Yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, But if Texas starts figuring it out, now we start realizing why, again, Arch Manning was talked about like Jesus Christ, but Texas football.
Yeah, I think too. Vandy, I feel like has been a little deceptive this year. I feel like they've had some great wins. They've had some great moments. Um, but there was a reason that I believe coming into this game, Texas was unranked. Caleb, no, yes,
No,
You're
Texas was
20th.
ranked. They were like
20th,
20th.
20th,
Yeah.
yeah. So I know you don't keep an eye on the spread, Jerry, but Texas was a favorite in this
It was
game.
three. It was 3.5.
Yeah,
So
pretty substantial favorite, I guess.
Yeah,
Touchdown
again, good for
assistance.
Vegas. I was writing that.
yeah, it worked
Um,
out.
so yeah, I think Vandy, they were 9, right?
Yeah.
This can, I mean, I feel like their rank and stuff. That's why the ranking stuff doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, it's just who wins the football game. And Vandy, I think, has been a little deceptive. Um, I don't think that anyone ever in their mind thought they were as good as Texas. I mean, if you just look at the players alone on each side, but Vandy finds ways to win games, and that's what's really important. But that can only get you so far. And I think too, kind of going back to the Auburn thing, something I didn't get to bring up is that like every week it seems like we're talking about how Auburn is competitive. And then if you're kind of just always on the opposite end of being competitive, um, it's not very good for you. But Clark Lee is competitive and he wins sometimes. So everyone's like,
Yeah.
Vandy is the real deal. But yeah, Vandy's a competitive team with almost every team. And I think some of their wins have been a little deceptive. But I think everything is starting to straighten out.
Yeah, I mean, Vandy last year started out pretty hot too, and it kind of fizzled down the stretch a little bit. So some of the expectations for some people are that's going to happen again. They have Auburn by Kentucky at Tennessee. I said it a couple weeks ago or last week that they have a lot of close games where it's like, oh my gosh, it could go either way. The Mizzou game was literally an inch away. Sorry to bring that up, Jerry. But I mean, there's some things, and you looked at like Diego Pavia hadn't played great in the biggest games. Yeah, Texas just came out and they were all over him. I think they wanted to shut up Diego Pavia. Some
Yeah.
people do not like him. They came out first play of the game, 75-yard touchdown. And it was like, oh, okay, this team's a little different. He looked good. I mean, he did. I mean, seems like he's finally figuring out. But the biggest thing is Texas, and I know they talked about it on the broadcast, and Sark talked about it, is like they've had to fight to get into the playoffs the last 2 years. This year's a little tougher. So you already have 2 losses, and you have a bye week at Georgia, Arkansas, Texas A&M.
That
And
is
we know what
brutal.
happened when they played Georgia last year. The
Yeah.
first time was not pleasant for them, and then they played them again and lost. So Texas has an uphill battle. I mean, it could happen, but it's gonna be
I
difficult.
I guess too, while we're on the deceptiveness of Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia, I feel like has also been a little deceptive, especially with a lot of people. Diego Pavia has a phenomenal story, and
Yes.
he's a very tough competitor. But I think some like the argument of him being in the Heisman stuff can be a little silly sometimes. Granted, they were really good. Um, but I think he lacks a lot of what is like an essential top quarterback in the nation. He reminds me a lot of John Mateer, honestly. Just like a hard, tough runner, stuff like that. But like Diego Pavia, could you see him getting drafted in like the top 3 rounds of the NFL?
No.
I changed this
not.
question to you. Put X QB into Vanderbilt's system right now. Do they have their success? Do you put
Any
Chavatier
quarter? No,
there?
probably
Okay.
not.
If you put, let's say, Arch Manning right now into Vanderbilt's system, do they have that success?
Maybe not, but I think if you put someone like Trinidad there, they would have that much success or
Maybe.
more.
And I think the hard part about the Heisman is, and I don't want to get into overly a Heisman discussion because Pavia in these stat lines have not looked that great. Against Missouri wasn't that great. Against Texas A&M, they're not Texas A&M. Texas, he was fine. He was okay. Do you value numbers and best player, or do you value most valuable player? Because I think if you put a lot of people, a lot of quarterbacks, even you could kind of go down the list of SEC, Big Ten, or whatever. You put them in a Vanderbilt situation, Vanderbilt looks worse. Like in comparison to like you put Diego Pavia in Oklahoma or Texas, they they probably look even better, right? Like the value Diego Pavia brings to make Vanderbilt a possible top 10 team at this point, probably now dropped, I think, below, but like has that hype, gets him college game day, keeps him in a lot of games, is one thing. Comparison to, is he the best player? Is he the overall best college football player to exist in this current state? No. Is he the most valuable player to his program? I'd argue yes, or to some degree, I understand that argument more than the other. But it's it depends on what we're valuing that year, right?
Yeah.
And that's a hard part about the Heisman. So, like, I understood the conversation. And granted, if Diego Pavia throws for 100 yards next week and 2 touchdowns and they win by 10, I hope they keep the Heisman campaign going.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. I hate to admit it. It gives me like Jordan Lynch at NIU vibes all those years ago of like,
that's a poll, Jared. That is a poll.
Hey, man, I remember that one. That was fun. But like, was Jordan Lynch the best quarterback that year? Hell no. But if you put a lot of different quarterbacks at NIU that year, they're not having that year, right?
Yeah, so, I guess too. It's like, okay, yes, you can keep him in the conversation, but to say that this dude will win the Heisman, I think, is a little insane.
No, they needed to win a couple games. They need to win this game. He needs to have more points. I totally understand that. I don't think he's the front runner. But it's been fun to have him in this conversation, and I also understand why he's been there. This is not even me defending SEC pride here. Like, Diego, I beat my team. This sucks. Like, in some degree, but like, he really, in my mind, is like a quarterback. Not just a quarterback, but he is a point guard. Like a lot of things run through him, even more than other offenses. Like, if you don't put a spy on Diego Pavia, he'll bust you for 150, right? Like 150 rushing yards and stuff like that, which I think has made him so hard to game plan against. But also, weeks go on, tape gets out. Oh my God, put a spy on Diego Pavia. Granted, now he's throwing for 150 yards like a pick, like But at least in my world, and like again, Heisman voters compared to people talking on this podcast, depending on what we look at and what we decide is valuable, are you looking at the stats and wins, or are you looking at the, oh my God, if you replace this guy with pick whoever, does this team look better? And that's kind of been always the hard part about like the Heisman Trophy is like some years it's like, oh, this guy was super value, i.e. Travis Hunter, right? Like Travis Hunter's now in Colorado, that might be a 6-16, right? Comparison to who could have won it last year, or like you do 2-3, usually when a quarterback wins, it's like, oh yeah, I threw for 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, 2 picks. Yeah, I don't know. Heisman's weird, but that's the fun of this sport. It never makes sense.
That is true. Like having people like Diego Pavia makes the Heisman conversation that much more interesting because it's like you have like kind of like the underdog sentiment to it a little bit, and he's like a tough dude or whatever. But yeah, my main point is just like I don't think he is probably, but that's just like you said, we were looking at it 2 different ways. Like last year, Travis Hunter wins the Heisman. I thought Ashton Genty should have won it just based off of he had one of the best collegiate rushing yards season stat wise. Not so much that Boise State, which they were pretty good. They had a great season, but like, wasn't the most valuable guy, which I guess he was, but never mind. You know what I mean?
No, and I also say too, if you look at Vanderbilt before Diego Pavia showed up, so they were 2-10 in Clark Lee's first year, 5-7, 2-10, and then last year when he was their quarterback, they went 7-6, won a bowl game, and they're 7-2. So I think that feeds into kind of his Heisman stake more of like, hey, look what he's helped Clark Lee with, and kind of helped turn Vanderbilt around. His value could go up or down depending on what they do next year, right? Like you never really know. Or I know he's maybe trying to fight to get a 20th year, but that will probably not happen. But yeah, I mean, it is an interesting conversation. But yeah, I think Vanderbilt was kind of slowly eliminated, I would say, of like, okay, like we kind of look at them. They played Texas. Is Texas good or are they not? They lose to them like that. So it'll be interesting. Tuesday is the first official college football playoff rankings, so that will tell us a lot, kind of like what people are thinking, how it kind of works. The AP is kind of all over the place, so this will be nice to kind of have these rankings come out and give us a set of like, hey, this is kind of what we're thinking. This is how we value teams. This is what we value them based off of, so it'll be nice. All right, moving on to the NFL. I know Sunday Night Football is live right now. I can't see the score of the game.
7-0 Seattle.
So 7-0 Seattle Seahawks. Look, I'll start off with the Bears. Holy shit. That's exactly what I wrote down. Caleb Williams shoved it up some people's throats today. I think the guy can play. That's just my personal opinion. And when it mattered most, he showed up. The defense is horrible. Shocker. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins destroyed us. Joe Flacco had a career day. I mean, ridiculous.
What if I told you? You two know this. That I've been drinking this whole podcast. The smart viewers that we have probably noticed. What if I told you the reason I've been drinking is because of the Chicago Bears?
Well, I mean, I don't think people would be shocked by that, Jerry.
Exactly. Yeah. Between all the things I've been saying today and how I've been saying them and the slurring of words. No kidding. But like this game was even more drunk than I could be if I wanted to be right now. I was joking around with folks at work earlier this week because this game was not broadcast in the St. Louis market. It was actually the Colts Steelers game. And I'm like, they're like, oh, yeah, that's probably a better game. We're like, I know. Nah, after this, that was the best game of the 12 o'clock slate, not just for my personal enjoyment. That
1 o'clock,
crazy.
Jerry, 1 o'clock.
God's time is 12 o'clock, all right? All right. You can't argue me. We got the vote. But no, this game had a little bit of everything and then some. Oh, God, I don't even know what to say about the Bears outside of the fact that you want to talk about a team that's getting away with it a little bit. Bears got away with one because you're up 41-27 and you end up with under a minute trying to win the game. That's nuts. I thought Tua's Pfizer was going to fix his vision. That was my favorite quote of the week. I want it to be known to go back to Thursday Night Football quickly. That was my favorite quote I've ever heard, which is, yeah, that guy's going to put on a visor. It's fixing his vision.
Yeah.
About that. Speaking of vision, my eyes on the Panthers. Big time W. Going into Lambeau when they're wearing like the Illinois knockoffs of the old jerseys and the leather caps and like just being a stronger, more physical team. This was a disgusting football game. This is the peak Fox noon, 1 p.m. slate game of like, you're going to get some football. You're going to like it. Here's everyone running on each other. Awesome. Shout out to Carolina for winning that one. I have Bijan, so screw the Falcons. That's annoying. We talked about Indiana and Steelers. The Colts happens. You lose. A double W. That's how big of a deal Caleb thought this was.
Yeah.
For.
I mean, it is a big deal. JJ McCarthy bounced back a little bit.
He's like W for Michigan because no Michigan fan Caleb here. And W for Minnesota itself. Man, that's a double W if I've ever seen one. Shout out. That was a close game too. That was another good. The NFC North is just so tough. Yeah. I say this as both a Bears fan, but also like a football fan. Like, this is a team that I think a lot of people wrote off, and I did in my mind. I was like, the Bears shouldn't have lost to this freaking Minnesota team. Look what Carson Wentz is doing. He's basically dying on the football field, and they can't get the ball forward. J.J. McCarthy comes back after we thought we were all hiding it. Everyone was hiding him. They win against Detroit in Detroit. That's nuts. Like, a lot of weird slate games, and the only one I'll get to before I I steal all the spotlight. That's what I do here. Is I've never seen two teams not want to win a football game more than the Denver Broncos and Houston. Oh, my Lord. If we had a tie earlier this year, that should have been a tie.
Yeah. The Broncos are gross, man. They are
disgusting.
Gross. They're that 1 week they look like the greatest team ever, and the next week it is the most disgusting thing I've ever watched.
This is a team that plays down to the competition and plays up so well, which is not a good thing. Like, if you're a good team, just be a good team. If you're a bad team, just be a bad team. Like, I don't understand it, but that game was 15-15 for like 3 years. I was sober when that started. like what are we doing here?
Yeah, the Colts, that happens, like you said. I'm just sorry, I was just looking at my fantasy teams. The Bears there almost lost it. And I felt you guys in my heart.
A win is a win is a win. Trevor.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And I'm saying this as my emotions plummeted because I am Bears fans by proxy for you guys because it determines how our podcast goes on Sunday and whether or not we have to keep Caleb on suicide watch. A week where Notre Dame and the Bears lose, Caleb had completely given up on football. And we have a sports podcast, and it's September, so that was concerning. Yeah, with 2 minutes left, it was like, oh God, this podcast is going to be sad. And then the Bears find a way. Carolina, Carolina was a minus 12 or plus 12.5 underdog in this game.
And they
I
won.
thought that was kind of crazy because they've been pretty hot recently, and they are a really good team. Patriots, Drake May is phenomenal. Drake May is the reincarnation of Tom Brady, and Hunter Henry is the reincarnation of Gronkowski. So
Let's calm down on that.
the Colts had a little bit of a hiccup. I wonder if their owner was down there on a headset. If not, that's probably why they lost.
I wonder how creepy Photo's doing with that one.
Yeah, I did think about him. Vikings, JJ McCarthy. He sometimes I remember the first time he started the season, I was like, oh my god, like is he going to be like the biggest bust of all time? Because he looked terrified, and he went on to win that game. So
Yeah.
That's a little funny. But Broncos, they win ugly. They're just a tough team. 49ers, I didn't even. This game was disgusting to me. Titans are terrible. Jacksonville, that game was so weird because the Raiders go for it to win the game, and then it just gets batted down at the line of scrimmage. And then we have Rams. The Rams are good. The Saints are terrible. The Saints, a lot of people are sleeping on how bad the Saints actually are.
No, they're awful.
We give a lot of gruff to the Jets for being terrible. The Saints are equally as terrible. I would
It's because
say.
of where they play. Nobody cares.
Yeah, no one cares. Yeah, that's a good point. And then the Bills win. The Chiefs will beat them in the AFC Championship.
Kind of trade off. You beat him in the regular season.
Yeah.
No, there you go.
That's the thing is I think that's the biggest takeaway is the Bills win, but can you do it in the playoffs?
This cemented it more. If the Chiefs would have won, I'd be like, ooh, that AFC Championship game is going to be interesting. No, the Bills win, so I just know that they lose in the AFC Championship now.
I will say the thing the Bills understood for this game compared to the AFC Championship game, and it'll be interesting to see if this carries over in the playoffs if they meet, is give James Cook the ball.
Yeah.
Like the Chiefs, it feels like they cannot stop him when he has the ball. He had 114 yards rushing. He had the reception at the end to get the first down that kind of helped almost not seal it, but give him a chance for the field goal that was missed. But just give him the ball. Like Josh Allen's great, but when you have a guy like James Cook who just he can make breakaway runs, do great things, carry a team. That's nice to have, and then it helps kind of rest Josh Allen and show to the other defenses in the NFL, like, whoa, we have to worry about this guy too, and then it opens up stuff in the passing game.
Yeah, and I was going to say that was almost like the Eagles formula last year, right? It's like give the ball to Saquon, and then once that kind of doesn't work anymore, you see the Super Bowl, we can kind of open it up and use Jalen Hurts. Not saying that Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen are equal in terms of talent or whatever, but I would say the formula is kind of similar with what you were just talking about. But go ahead, Caleb. I didn't mean to cut you.
No, I mean, Jalen Hurts has a Super Bowl and has beaten Patrick Mahomes and should have beaten twice in the playoffs, and Josh Allen hasn't. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest takeaway and I think that's how it's kind of going to be viewed by most people. It's just interesting to see the Chiefs at 5-4. We haven't seen that in a while. It's kind of like, oh, they have a bye week and then they play the Broncos, so that'll be interesting. I think the other thing is like when the Packers got Micah Parsons, we thought like, well, Super Bowl champs. And I'm not saying they can't win the Super Bowl. They just have so many problems, it feels like. And they have games where it's like, this should not happen. I mean, it's the Panthers. And I guess the Panthers are 5-4. They're playing good. It's the Panthers. You're at home. The weather was not great. Like you should have the team that wins that game. The Lions, they could not move the ball for a long time against the Vikings. And Brian Flores is a very good defensive coordinator. They've kind of figured some things out. McCarthy has moments where it's like, whoa. So it'll be interesting. The NFC North is going to be tough. I don't expect the Bears to be in it much longer with how the schedule kind of ramps up, but it is just going to be interesting to see, because we're trying to find that team in the NFC. It's like, who is the best team? I think it's the Rams as of right now. I could see them in the Super Bowl without a doubt. So it'll be interesting to see, like, are there teams that are going to be able to match that with the Rams who it feels like Trevor talked about it before. It's like Matthew Stafford's played great. So it's just interesting to see the Packers struggle and the Lions both struggle. And it's like there's not one team that's standing out, which makes it fun. So, it's going to be it just shows that this is going to be crazy and wild and wacky down the stretch because we're getting ready to anoint the Colts and be like, oh, they're really, really good. Their schedule does get really tough towards the end, but then they lose. And so everything about it is we're just trying to figure stuff out. And it's getting closer to be like, okay, crunch time. You got to win big games when it matters.
I will say, I think the Panthers are now 4-1 since they let go of their podcast. Not to diminish our jobs, we're important. Keep watching us, please.
Yeah.
But that is one of those funny subplots. No, I was Green Bay is just wildly confusing to me because they have such a fantastic defense, but then their offense just stinks.
Yeah,
I think this week kind of proved it because it's not like Carolina has that good of a defense. Like they're not a bad defense, but they're not that good. And they went like 3/4 of this game without scoring a touchdown. Like that's what confused you so much. And there was a key moment in this game. It was about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They're like a 4th and 3, 4th and 5, maybe. They go for it, and Jordan Love has to scramble his life off to try to throw a pass. And he just throws one the almost should have been a pick, but wasn't.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, what is going on here? It just the beauty of any given Sunday kind of vibes there in that type of game. But I really like your point, Caleb. Like the NFC is just confusing. And I think the AFC is also having its own level of confusion right now too. Because does it feel like the Bills will lose this game months from now when it's a little bit colder outside and when everyone tells you, oh my God, they're in Buffalo, it snowed, this should help Buffalo, and they still lose the game in Highmark, and then Highmark goes out sad before they go into the new building? Yes, all those vibes point that direction. But what if I told you running the ball is a good thing, especially against an offense that likes to score, and if you kept him off the field, it could help you?
Yeah.
It feels like that's what the Bills figured out this week.
And their defense was able to get some pass rush from Patrick Mahomes and make him very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, but very nice when you won. A, you can score, and B, if you want to, you can shoot clock. Right? And sometimes this game is so complicated that it feels just that simple. You come down to these simple concepts. Even looking forward here, on top of this really fun slate, I feel like this week had a lot of fun results and good games. We are looking right now at a Seattle-Washington game that's on right now. Seattle and the throwbacks. We do appreciate that. The old Seahawks logo there. Jaden Daniels just threw a pick not long ago, and Seattle's trying to drive.
Is Jaden Daniels trash?
Jaden Daniels hurt, period. That's kind of, I think, been interesting. I've been very interesting in Washington this year because they're going to be such an interesting test case for so many teams that draft young quarterbacks.
Overrated.
Maybe, but if they lose this game and they're 3-6, remind folks, Washington put a lot into this year. You don't just get Deebo Samuel because you're bored, right? They've kind of traded away pieces of their future because they saw Jaden Daniels as this next franchise quarterback. But you lose a game like this and you throw 1 or 2 more on here, and then you start looking like Houston with CJ Stroud. And I'm curious on what this looks like because I don't think CJ Stroud and Jaden Daniels are the same quarterback. They're nowhere near. Jaden Daniels a way better scrambler than CJ. CJ is really good in the pocket, right? I don't think they're the same quarterback, but they could have very similar futures depending on what happens these next couple of weeks. I'm really talking about Sunday Night Football because Monday night looks disgusting.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really cares. I don't think Kyler Murray is playing.
No, it's Jacoby Brissett. This is very much a stoppable force hits movable object. That's what we got going on here in a Matt Eberflus defense versus backup quarterback. I don't know how that's going to go. There is a kind of long-term question mark here about Kyler Murray that I'm curious about because we've been doing the Kyler Murray experiment for a while, and Arizona has just been irrelevant. I hate to say that to Arizona fans, but what are we doing here? This is 500 team at best every year, no matter what you do. I don't get it. So at what point we're how many years has Kyler Murray been in the NFL?
It's been a while.
It's been 6-7 years, right? No pun intended. Yeah. You're welcome. All right. I'm trying to get his views, Caleb. Leave me alone. But it's been a while, and this team keeps doing the same thing. Little bit of definition of insanity. The funny side note is that my girlfriend hates Jerry Jones. And it's
Good
only
woman.
because of the Netflix documentary
Oh,
about the cheerleaders. And I find this so funny. Like, she's sleeping. She won't hear this. She doesn't care. But it is beyond hilarious to me that she is like, Jerry Jones is a terrible owner. And I'm like, yeah. You see what he did with Micah Parsons? She's like, what? I'm like, it's such a great world to live in.
Oh yeah, that makes me happy. As long as there's more people in the world that hate Jerry Jones, it makes my heart. It's like the Grinch when
we're not.
he
This
finds out how
is
good
this is not
Christmas
a
is.
pro Philly thing. I'm not gonna let that happen. But like,
It doesn't matter. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Fair enough.
Kyler Murray's in his 7th season.
I was close.
I will say the Commanders have a very tough schedule. I thought that coming into the year. They have to play the Lions, the Broncos, the Vikings, the Eagles twice, the Cowboys. I mean, it's not looking.
Well, they
not
paid
looking
Terry,
great.
right? You paid Terry.
Yeah, they did. They paid Terry. They got Laramie Tunsil, Von Miller. Like,
Debo.
yeah, I mean they put a lot of money, a lot of veteran power into the team.
And that's my question here. And this Sunday Night Football game is a prime example because it's not going to be the turning point in the Washington organization, barring anything crazy happening, which I'm not wishing. But like, you lose this game by 3 points, and then let's say you're kind of trying to sneak into a wild card and you miss it by a game, right? Yeah, it wasn't just the Seattle game that sends this over the edge or not. But I look at this moment because it's like, well, that's a season that's gone. That's a quarterback on a rookie deal that you've just missed a year on. Now, granted, Jay Nail's been hurt.
Yeah.
I want to make that very clear and fair in the situation. But, like, this is a team that bought all in and is struggling. You need a game like this, and I also never understand what Seattle's doing. I think that's just a fair thing. Like, they're good. That's it? Kind of, maybe? Like, they're fine. They're above 500. They're playing well, but, like, what are we doing? Like, are we just going to kind of keep making the playoffs? It's like talking about like an 8-win college football team trying to become a 10-win team. Sometimes these things mismatch, like I don't get them ever.
Well, I think we feel like, Sam Darnold, that they can only go so far, right? So I think that's the thing is they're good, but so it'll be very, very interesting to see how this kind of the NFL season starts to shake out a little bit. I will say we have a big video Wednesday. He's commented, Jerry, I'm sad that you're going to miss this one because this is going to be an all-timer. I will read what he's going to eat live for us on Wednesday here, folks. Jerry, you want to hear this order? You got to hear it. It's a great one.
Well, this is the thing, I may have to just tune in while I'm doing my job. Just
you may want to.
Riley, if you're going to puke, just do what I did earlier. Go off camera. Just hide for a little bit. It's fine.
So I don't know if we're going to let him do that, Jerry. Like, this is different. He's not going to have the right. So his order is double quarter pounder with cheese, extra cheese, no pickle. 2 McChickens, 20-piece chicken McNuggets, large fries, large shake, large Dr. Pepper.
Matt, my funniest question about this is, could you avoid a drink by getting pickles? Like, if I'm thinking about this in pure volume, and again, I'm not the one participating in this. And yeah, I might get replaced on the show, barring how this goes.
It's not going to happen.
But, it's been nice working with you guys. When you guys start
trust me,
famous, just remember me.
This is the only time he's going to be.
Just remember the guy who talked a lot of talk about the White Sox. It's all you need is eulogy. But yeah, like when we're thinking about calories specific, like you're talking about like 40 calories, can you get away
4,000 calories, Jerry?
I know, but okay, we're thinking, let's get to the numbers here. Like if you add 40 calories by putting those pickles in, do you get to eliminate a drink, which feels like it matters in this situation?
Wait, I think pickles are 0 calories, right?
I don't know. I've never looked at the calorie of a pickle. Like it just never crossed my mind.
I can tell that you've never weighed 230 pounds.
I weigh 250. I have a beer belly. Yes, it's just all in my stomach because I drink stuff like this. Like, that's the secret. Just start drinking more, kids.
One slice of dill pickles, like on McDonald's burgers, 1 to 2 calories.
No, okay, so no, it will not be a game changer.
Typical on a burger is 3 to 4, pickles 5 to 8 calories.
No, I'm just trying to think here because if I were to ever put myself in a situation where I'm having to eat 4,000 calories, yeah, I'm trying to think of ways to cheat the system here.
Well, so the challenge wasn't that he had to eat 4,000 calories. This was a meal that he ate in his free time by choice.
Yeah, no.
This is very Barstool.
We discovered that this meal was 4,000 calories. He also, for the record, would then go home and eat dinner.
Jerry, that is what makes it even crazier. He would eat this at like 2, 3 o'clock when he got off work, and then he'd go home and have dinner. And the other funny thing is he would drive by the McDonald's, not get the McDonald's, go home, and they would deliver it to him. But he would drive by the McDonald's every day.
This is like, I've never had this encounter personally, but I've known some people who have. I'm not going to help them. It's kind of like when you go to the same place a certain amount, they start asking you, like, you doing the regular? Like that's the same vibes I'm getting here. It's like,
he's just feeding his family.
Dog. Oh no.
No, like, so he would eat this what's gonna make it even funnier is like most people would like prepare for this and probably not eat lunch or whatever and try to like eat it out. No, he's gonna eat probably a big breakfast, probably a big lunch, and then he's gonna eat this on top of maybe probably eating something for dinner before we go live at like 6 o'clock.
Hell yeah, dude. All I can do is just appreciate a man in his, in a moment like this. You know what? This is a guy just being a dude. All right. Yeah. So, you want to find guys being guys, Riley. I wish you luck, but I also appreciate what you're about to do. You know what? I'm not going to belittle you for eating McDonald's at 2 p.m. and eating about 4,000 calories worth of McDonald's before you eat dinner. You know what? I respect the game when I see it. You know, I'm proud of you. You know what? You do you, and you know what? When I'm not on the show anymore, and they have you in the corner as like the Subway Surfers version of keeping people's attention, where they cut the screen in half and it's just you eating. You know what, man? I love
what it is.
Yeah, no. So the plan is we're gonna go live. He's gonna prove that he has all the food. We're gonna cut his mic. He's gonna be in the other box. I'm gonna have it to where we're in like these boxes, and then our graphics will be smaller so we can like see him more. He has to eat every item, and when he's done eating, he has to do the survivor, show his mouth, and then he gets to move on. He doesn't get to talk on the podcast until he's ate everything.
Dude, this is amazing.
So we're going to continue to do sports while he eats in the corner.
I cannot wait for you guys to be talking about the Indiana Hoosiers of all things, and just have to put up with Riley just sitting in the back, you know.
Yeah. And then awesome. I talked to his brother, and I said, I think it'll take him like 25 minutes. And he goes, dude, he'll have it done before that. He goes, he'll dominate that thing.
You know, that's a man that respects game. You know what? That's it. That's watching the tape. You know what's going on here. You know what? Stuff is happening.
I was wondering
here. Seattle has scored, and then I think they just got the ball on the kickoff.
Yeah.
So things are happening.
It's getting wacky. It's getting wild out there. Me and Trevor will have a recap of this game Wednesday, along with the guy trying the McDonald's challenge of 4,000 calories. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be hilarious. I hope he follows through. We already sent him the money for it. We told him we'd pay for it to happen.
What budget do we have to do this?
This is just pure like this is what we want, like pure joy. We figured out how much it would cost.
Let's just say it's around $40.
Yeah. So
that tax write-off's gonna hit. Thank you guys.
Seahawks just scored. For everybody wondering.
No. Jesus Christ.
So yeah, I mean, we'll have a breakdown of that Wednesday along with the guy eating McDonald's. I know that there's some extra people that'll be tuning in just to watch him eat that, so that'll be hilarious. So yeah, we'll have that coming up on Wednesday. Very, very excited for that. Sad Jerry will not be able to be here with us.
This is what happens when we don't have Jerry.
Yeah, we have to figure stuff out. Wednesdays are wild. What did we call it, Trevor?
Wacky Wednesday.
Wacky Wednesdays.
Or we should start calling it Wild West Wednesday.
Wild West Wednesdays. We're getting wild, Jerry.
Gateway to the West is here, by the way.
Yeah.
So, hey, don't worry. The episode where, first of all, we'll have a funny moment depending on what it looks like. I don't know yet. When I make my return to the South Bend area, I guarantee you something will come out of that. Probably not good things. It might make me throw up, depending on how much I drink.
No, we'll have to film a video when you come back.
Something will happen there, and then whenever I bring them to the Gateway of the West, things will happen.
Yes.
Maybe at the dive bar. Who knows?
Yes.
We will definitely have a video of that stuff. So yeah, I mean another day down, another coach fired. There'll be another one next week. I'm calling it right now. I wish you could bet on that. And it's probably be Maryland's coach. Just have a feeling about that one. They play
or Florida State. You're welcome.
Yeah. I think Florida State's going to wait. Maybe a Luke Fickell action. A little spread.
Drake.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is going to happen. But yeah. So as always, thanks for watching.
Peace.